Hey, what's going on? Beautiful peeps in the art of powerful alignment. Just going to give a few minutes or a few seconds for a few people to jump on. I didn't really plan this broadcast. I was just inspired from a client call, and I wanted to share a few things with you. So I have a few minutes to share in between my client calls. This is Lucy, for those of you who don't know who it is. And for those of you who are new members to this group, welcome. My name is Dr.Nima Rahmany. I'm a chiropractor who has transitioned out of his practice into coaching and speaking and traveling. And what I do is I love to help people transition from their careers and relationships and become powerfully aligned when they were once anxious, become connected to their higher selves when they were once lost, have a powerful help them find their voice when at one time they felt like they've lost their mojo. And so this whole concept, whenever I speak to people, oftentimes the very first thing that they say during my enrollment or kind of discovery strategy calls is, Dr. Nima, I feel like I've lost myself or I've lost my power. Some of you are in Kate and Anthony's group with Juice Plus, and you're in a position where you want to become leaders, but then there's this nagging little voice in your head that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, why am I here, who's going to listen to me? And so it's kind of like you're haunted by your past present self. So in this training, I wanted to share with you a few things, some things that'll help you become a little bit more conscious so that you can make more wiser choices in the self, the version of the self that you want to be able to become, to make a huge difference and a huge impact in your life and the lives of others, in family and everything like that. Family, friends, in clients, that kind of thing. So yourself, what happens is, based on the occurrences of our past present self tends to predominate. Tends to run our minds. So when you wake up in the morning and you think about the same problems that you've had, and then you've had one challenge after another, maybe you got 3 or 4 different issues going on. There's a financial issue, there's a problem going on with your spouse, there's your kid or your teenager, or your health is not right. You wake up and boom, you get reconnected to your old self, your past present self. We become chemically addicted to the emotional state of that old version of us. And when we think about those problems, it causes us to feel a certain way. And the combination of the thinking and the feeling alters your state of being. And so when we start off our day, I'm not saying we, I'm saying myself. This is me when I was in my worst case, when I was struggling with anxiety. The self that was in control was my past present self. So I was thinking about the regrets. I was thinking about the resentments that was going on in my life. And that thinking caused my body and brain to release chemicals, which caused me to feel in exact proportion to the way that I was thinking. So what would happen is I would then get stuck in these loops where each day was exactly like the past, which was filled, and my emotional set point was set up in such a way where I was in anxiety. I was in a state of frustration. I was in a state of regret. And what that does is, when your past present self, especially if that past, you've experienced the stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol that are running through your body, you become chemically addicted to that. So your past present self isn't the one in control. And what ends up happening is this creates a downward spiral in your health, in your vitality. Your hormone levels become completely shot out of balance. You start to feel that pang of anxiety. You start to doubt yourself. And the feelings that you feel then cause signals that go up into the brain, which cause us to think in exact match, frequency, vibration, whatever you want to call it, with exactly the way that we're feeling. So then the dark passenger starts to grab the driver's seat and take control. And you start to occur to yourself in language like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love. And you have found yourself not knowing exactly what your purpose is, not having any mojo left over. Why? Because your past, present self is the one in control. So I'm going to ask you, first and foremost, where are you signing in from? Where are you tuning in from? What version of yourself has been in control? Share in the comments section. I would love to hear, and there's going to be a chance for Q&A. If you were like me, especially in last year, after I went through my transition. So my dreams that I had after I went through transition, I was hit so hard with the events that caused me to have resentment and regret that stress hormones were running through my body. Because of that, it was causing me to think in exact proportion to how I was feeling. And those thoughts were not aligned with the highest version of myself. I was thinking and feeling in terms of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, I am a failure. I completely lost my power. And if you take a look at my voice and my vision and my message, I was hardly on social media last year because I didn't feel worthy enough of looking into a camera, hitting live and sharing, because I thought that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy of love, and I was a failure. And so because of the way that I was thinking, it caused me to feel more of that, which then altered my state of being to match the way that I was thinking and feeling, which then caused me to think in exact proportion to how I was feeling. And this cycle is this becomes this downward spiral. And so when people reach out to me now, it's 100 times out of 100, hey, Dida, what's up? It was great to meet you, Dida. Dida's a client that I've been working with over the past 6-8 months now. We started and got a chance to go to Chicago and hang out. I love hanging out with my clients because you become like family. So we shared a drink, shared some stories, and it's amazing to see how well she's doing and big smile on her face and to be able to make a difference. But there was one period of time, Dida, where I didn't feel worthy enough to even speak up to share that. And what I'm offering you is the realization right now that if you're playing small and you're caught in that loop that I just shared with you, who is suffering in your life because you're caught in that loop of being stuck? Now, the reason why we lose sight of our dreams is because we get tied up in the stress hormones. In other words, events happen in our lives. Events happen which knock us off course because we don't have the tools to be able to change that story into something more congruent with the highest versions of ourselves. So I'm asking you this question: what in your life has caused you to sideswipe your dreams and visions? What, when you had, back in the day, when you had your mojo and you were at your highest version of yourself and you were in your full state of confidence, you knew who you were, you didn't have any doubt of who you were and what direction you were going through. I could be talking to you. Who were you being? What was your vision? In other words, what was your focus on your present future self? So our focus turns into the present future self instead of the past present self. So it takes work to actually think about what you're thinking about. And in the program that I have, it's very challenging for people when they begin, and with practice, they become better and better of becoming consciously aware of where they're putting their attention so that they can change it from the past present self into the present future self of who they would love to become. It involves you becoming consciously aware of what you're thinking and how you're feeling and changing that state. And so that's why I created the overview method. It's because it breaks your addiction to your past story, changes that story so that you can then get into alignment with your present future self. And through a series of repetition, mental rehearsal, meditation, and accountability, you then can emerge, like Dida, the greatest version of herself, ready to take her next step into challenge, ready to take the next step into possibility. So I'm asking you this question: which version of yourself has been in control? That version of the past present, which alters your state of being and thinking, which then alters your hormone levels, because that's what feeling is, it's hormones. And when your hormones are out of balance, guess what happens to your digestive system, your thyroid, your pituitary, your endocrine system? Everything gets shot when you're in the chemical addiction of your past story. So I ask you, what happened? When did this all begin? And you'll tell me, oh, hey, Megan, you'll tell me, oh, this thing happened, like I got fired from my job, or I broke up with my partner, or I feel guilt about what happened. And you can then attribute to your state of being to what happened in the past. And so that's why I created the overview method, which is a self-directed tool, which I teach in my workshops. By the way, I'm going to be in Australia at the end of September, in Toronto in mid-October, Vancouver in mid-November, and the UK at the beginning of December, to teach people how to break free from the addictions of their past story and to gain mastery over that little dark passenger, which is the voice that tells you you're not worthy of love, you're not good enough. And you can then gain mastery over it so that you can actually create from the space of present future self. So in the beginning, there's several stages of unconscious incompetence where you have no idea that your mindset is constantly on the past self. So most people are in that past present self where their mindset is on their problems, the accounting problems, your taxes, your relationship issues, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your business is not going where it wants to, you're comparing yourself to your neighbor and thinking you're not good enough and not owning your power. And so this whole lack of gratitude becomes your way of being and destroys your present future self because you're constantly in your past present self. So I'm asking you, which self of you at this moment is in control? And this is an invitation to shift that mindset and start thinking about what you're thinking about so that you can transition into your present future self. So what's important to do is that when you don't get this right, anxiety, depression, and health problems start to sink in. And probably the fatal flaw, the worst thing you can do, is to go to a medical doctor with this in mind, because they don't have a concept of the neuroscience behind how your thoughts impact your feelings, and the thoughts and feelings becomes your way of being, which becomes your attitude, which becomes your temperament, which becomes your personality and your personal reality all around you, because you haven't taken the time to do the work. And so the Art of Powerful Alignment, for those of you who are new in this group, are for people who are interested in actually transforming that and sharing stories of where they've been, how they've shifted their perceptions, and what difference and breakthroughs have happened through their breakdowns. So are there any questions about this whole concept of past self and future self? Chances are, if you're like most human beings and who aren't actively engaged in doing this kind of work, your mindset, the self that's in control, is the past present self. In other words, we are bound chemically, addicted to the past versions of yourself that lead you into the belief that you're not good enough, you're not worthy of love, and you're a failure. And that belief has an impact in everything, in your way of being, in your communication with other people. And perhaps you're trying to build a business and you're stuck in a past story. My dear friends, that's not possible for you to thrive. In that neurology and neurochemistry of the past stress response trauma that you've been holding on to. And so transformation is available to you when you're actually committed to doing the work. So I'm opening up the floor. I'm opening up the floor for some questions right now. If there's anything that's been going on that is consistent with your past, present self, that you've been noticing, you've been chemically addicted to, constantly running into the same stories, trust issues, this transitional anxiety, this feeling of like this blockage or like a congestion in your energy center, right under your gut, right in your heart center, or your gut, or your root energy center. All of those areas are clusters of nerves that when you're blocked, you cannot flow your full expression of health. You can't. You've lost your mojo. You're aging faster. You don't look as good. You don't feel as good. You're not digesting your food properly. And if you're trying to build a business doing that, it's just not possible. If you're trying to make a difference in other people's lives, you feel like a fraud because you're not living congruently with what you're teaching. And it all comes down with you connecting to your past, present self. So I'm leaving the floor open for two people who have been stuck in a transition and want to powerfully move into their next version because they are sick and tired of being stuck in those old emotions in the past reality and are committed to actually transforming it and doing the work because they're sick and tired of being stuck where they're at. So I'm opening the floor to you. Send me a private message. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And I'm going to do a free coaching call to identify exactly what is blocking you, what events were going on in your life, and to create a strategy moving forward. But here's the caveat. You got to be absolutely committed to changing it. Like you've got to have had to have wanted it happen yesterday. This can't be one of those kind of, I'm not sure. If your spouse is involved and you're stuck and you don't know what you want to do in your relationship limbo, it's because you've been stuck in this past, present self where you're judging, you're in this downward spiral. I want to get on the phone with both you and your partner to see what's possible for you, where you're stuck. And I only want to talk to those who are absolutely committed to the greatest versions of themselves. We have workshops coming up in Australia, Toronto, London, and Vancouver over the next few months, and we have limited seating, and I do it by application only. I'm grateful those of you guys kind of reaching out to me to apply for a seat so that I can teach you how to clear those past stories and connect to the greatest version of yourself. Let me know if this is something that is inspiring to you. If there's that little voice in your head that says, I know that something's great, that there's something greater for me, but I'm just constantly stuck in the past, present version of myself. And I want to learn how to get to the future self and create that. I know what it's like. Last year at this time, I was feeling stuck. I reached out and I had a discovery call with a coach, and it made all the difference in the world. I jumped in through my fears. I found out exactly what was blocking me. And it made all the difference. And now I get to live a dream life where I'm contributing to other people. I get to experience magical things each and every day. And I'm living a life of growth whereby I look back 3 months from today, and I see massive growth. And I know that in 3 months from now, I have amazing growth opportunity as well. So I know that if what I'm saying to you is resonating and you've been listening this far, you owe it to yourself to have a conversation. There is no cost for it, but it's not for everyone. It's for those who are wanting to overcome and abandon their victimhood, their past story of abandonment, guilt, shame. Maybe you've had affairs in your life, or you've had infidelity, or that's happening right now, and you want to create a powerful relationship where you guys feel that you're in alignment. Or you're stuck in your job, you're a chiropractor or a nutritionist, or you want to build your online business, but you're feeling a loss of power and you're feeling like a fraud, and it's keeping you up at nights, and you really want to learn how to get aligned. I'm here to serve in any way that I can. I invite you to reach out to me. It's probably the coolest experience to be able to see people who are stuck in similar situations as you might be in reach out, and now not only have they cleared their anxiety, their depression, their relationships are back in alignment, but now they're enrolled in courses that they absolutely feel passionate and purposeful about. This reminds me of one of my clients, Nagina, who was stuck as a chiropractor, not knowing which way she wanted to go, feeling like a fraud. She was stuck in a past loop, her past present self, of the death of her children, 2 children that she buried. She was stuck there. And within her first session, where we worked together, completely dissolved that past grief, a new future self emerged rather than the past present self. And now she's working at creating she's a clinical director of a pediatric chiropractic clinic in Dubai, helping children with autism spectrum disorders and neurodevelopmental disorders. And she knows exactly how to serve parents and kids alike. And it all emerged after she changed her story because she was stuck in the past present self, and the future self has emerged. And it reminds me of another case of Christopher, who's a chiropractor as well, stuck in a past present version of himself, constantly thinking that he wasn't good enough because he was stuck in a version of himself. It totally is beautiful. Version of himself where he was bullied in school, constantly thinking that he wasn't good enough. And because the past present version of himself was running his mind and his neurology, he jumped in and we worked with him, created a mission statement for himself, created a series of rituals, and then we got him to change those stories and then go back to those people. It wasn't easy. Go back to the people involved. 3 past girlfriends where he was stuck in those past present self, and it was impacting his current relationship with his partner, completed those. And as a result, in his first 30 days, had the highest grossing month of his career, and his salary and his income went up by 35% within 2 months. And so, and we didn't do practice management. All we did was get him aligned with his present future self, which is available to you if you just jump in and do the work. And so I'm offering this to those of you who are actually serious and want to create, who've done the work before. This beginners struggle a little bit with it. So those of you who've done a little bit of work with it and have been to seminars, have done the work, this is ideal for them. So I'm encouraging you to reach out, to connect, and I'd love to have a conversation with you to see what's available for you on the other side. So just welcoming you to this group, to all the new members. Please ask questions. Do not hesitate. Ask questions. I would love to share, to do a Facebook Live post. Invite those of you who need to hear this. Invite them in the group and then tag them in this post. And this community is created so that people can learn how to connect with each other better, how to become more powerfully aligned in their lives so that they can speak the truth, find their voice, and then be of service. Ultimately, and at the end of the day, I'm here to help narrow that time span of suffering so that you can move on and be better for your family, your friends, and your future clients. So God bless you. If there are no other questions, I invite you to remember that the self that's available to you to be in control is your present future self. If you just start paying attention to your thoughts, you create a mission statement, you restore integrity, and then you get help and mentorship and find the right person to help guide you, find the right community to help guide you to the greatest version of yourself. God bless you, and I will see you at the next perfect time.